Hello and welcome to Theme Park Information. In today's show we're doing a quick video about my pet peeves at theme parks. Let's start off with all the stuff you get in queue lines. And the first one of those is people who don't pay any attention to the queue. So you may have been at the park and noticed that the queue's moving and the person, normally directly in front of you, is stood there wandering, thinking about their life, looking off into the distance, and I don't know why, but this really annoys me. It's something about it is just so frustrating. I think it's because I could be a lot further along in the queue in terms of like positioning, even though the time queuing is going to remain the same, and for some reason it just really annoys me. It's so pathetic, I appreciate, but it's one of those things where just something about it. Now I have myself, I don't think ever done this, where I've literally just been like wandering off. I've come very close a few times, but I've always spotted it. Let's move on to some other queue line things, and that is when theme parks decide to put like spikes or like a rail or like make the like queuing kind of like barriers difficult to sit on. Now I appreciate why they do this. Obviously if they get hundreds of people a day sitting on them, it's going to eventually break them, but at the same time standing all day is really uncomfortable. And it's like, a part of me thinks that maybe theme parks should take more of that into consideration and actually build them around the fact that they could be like kind of rested against or very easy to kind of like lean upon and take the weight off your feet. Or alternatively make queue lines so the ground is not like concrete or anything like that. I do appreciate that's really difficult to do with any other substance, but it'll be a little improvement. But yeah, that really annoys me because it's like a very much a no, you can't sit on that sort of mentality. And it's just really annoying, especially when it's a long queue line. It's like, come on, at least do it so there's places to sit, or like you use some very clever rock work or something like that, where if that gets broken by anyone sitting on it, I'll be very surprised. Also within queue lines, they tend to be the main bugbear, I'm afraid. People smoking. It's like, obviously you have every right to smoke, just I'd prefer it if you didn't do it like in a queue line, especially if that queue line is in parts indoors or undercover, where it's like, yes, thank you, I really appreciate breathing in your secondhand smoke for like a long queue. That's great. Also hate it when queue lines are a lot longer than they appear to be. So we've all had it where we're queuing for a roller coaster, we think we're getting really quite close to the front, maybe a station platform is literally just up a flight of stairs, we think, and it actually turns out that it's miles away and there's actually another section, like another cattle pen and stuff like that before you get there, and it ends up you're queuing for another like 20-30 minutes when you think so close. It's like having a carrot dangled in front of you, just like, I finally got it. Oh no, I haven't. It's really annoying. There's a few kind of other little pet peeves which are not solely available for queue lines, but people who just throw rubbish all over the floor and stuff like that. I mean, that's really unacceptable pretty much anywhere. But at a theme park, it's like there are so many bins at theme parks, like an absurd number for how small they are on the whole. It's like, just put it in a bin, or at least next to it, or something like that. For people who like throw it in like bushes and like in the theming and stuff like that, like that's really really poor. It's like just be a little bit better with it. Another pet, this isn't something you could do a huge amount about, but when parks don't have a huge amount of shade in them, I was going to say mainly for hot weather, and it's like, it does occur to me to do live in the UK, so more likely for the rain to keep you to keep you dry. But either way, it's like I'm amazed that there aren't loads of queue lines with like lots of cover on them and stuff like that, because there's nothing more enjoyable than standing there, and getting either soaked or baked. It's like, just some cover would be lovely. It's one of the things I kind of appreciate, that cover does like ruin the views of the rides and stuff like that, and it means that it kind of takes away from the immersion and stuff like that, but there's a very practical element to it. If you wanted to, you could do it so they're like, maybe like either could be folded up or folded down. Any of those kind of options could work really well. Something else I also really hate, and this is not applicable for most parks, but like for example something like Alton Towers, it does, when the car park and the main entrance are like a 15-minute walk away. And yes, I do appreciate there is a monorail, but you have to queue for the monorail and it still has to get you to the front entrance. Now don't get me wrong, the monorail is really cool, it really works really well at the park, and if you happen to get it on a good day, it will save you a lot of time. And in fairness, you can actually walk, the walk isn't that bad. But if you're parking all the way at the back, really annoying. Another thing I kind of dislike, very much depends on the situation, I will accept, but it's having to pay more for certain things. So, for example, something like mini golf, I think should be included within the price of admission. Whereas, for example, something like Vertigo, yeah, I think an uplift charge for that is fine. I kind of accept that. I also kind of really dislike it with food at theme parks overall. I actually will be honest, food in the UK parks is actually not too bad at all. There's actually kind of fairly nice food places to go with like a fairly decent variety. But in America, especially like things like Cedar Point and stuff like that, the food options are slightly lacking, which is a bit of a pain, really. I also absolutely hate the fact that you have to pay for parking as well in those of UK parks. That's really, really frustrating. It's like, could it not also be included in the price of admission? I do appreciate you can book it online as well, but this not only leads to people maybe like being a little bit confused when they leave. There's also an extra expense to take into consideration when you're going, so not the greatest. Think that's pretty much it. I know there's a couple more like possibilities I was going through, and I'm sure I will remember them the second I press stop on the record button of this. So hopefully there might be a part 2 of this at some point when I think of more. Obviously, feel free to add your own in the comment section below. I know we all have plenty of things which really annoy us at parks, so I will catch you guys on the next video, and I hope you have a good one.